Joining us now, Alabama Republican Senator Katie Britt. Welcome back to Fox News Sunday.
Thank you so much, Shannon. I appreciate you having me.
All right, quite a game last night, and I do have a niece at Alabama, so at the risk of alienating a lot of people, roll tide. But wow, that was quite a game.
Hey, roll tide.
I mean, President Trump was
Between
there.
President Trump's visit, yes, he was there. It was just incredible. And then obviously, I think this game will go down as one of the best college football games ever played. And I think Tuscaloosa is still reverberating this morning. And you should have heard it when they announced President Trump. I think the cheers are something that likely registered on the Richter scale. So it was just an exciting night all the way around, and roll tide.
Well, listen, I did see the game last night, obviously, and the reception that he got. He's polling well in Alabama, but our polling shows that in Georgia, he's got a little bit of a problem. There he is down by 3 points to the vice president. And part of that is a gender gap with women who say they do not trust you or him, the GOP, on issues of abortion or IVF. This week, Ohio Senate candidate Bernie Moreno adding fuel to that fire with some comments he made there. Why is this messaging on that issue in particular not working? How can the GOP, is it possible to fix it? Because women just don't trust you guys on that one.
Look, we are going to continue, I think, to be able to grow in the polls here. And as we're able to talk about these issues and get our message out to voters, they'll see where President Trump stands on this. Look, there's been no stronger supporter of IVF than President Trump. If you think about the situation that occurred in Alabama, President Trump came out immediately and said that he strongly supported IVF and he encouraged the Alabama legislature to act. They acted within 6 days of that, Shannon, and our Republican legislature and our Republican governor signed IVF protection into law. We've continued to talk about this. Senator Ted Cruz and I led a letter with all 49 Republican senators signing on saying they strongly support nationwide access to IVF. And the truth is, Democrats continue to use this issue as a scare tactic because IVF is legal and accessible in all 50 states. And President Trump has made it perfectly clear that he'll continue to make sure that that's the case.
So you voted against a measure, though, that was offered up by Democrats on IVF in the Senate there, and they continue to point to that to say Republicans aren't supportive of protecting IVF. Why did you vote no?
So, Shannon, I'm so glad you brought this up. This is politics at its worst. If you think about what Chuck Schumer is doing, instead of putting funding bills on the floor that are so critically important to actually doing our job for the American people, of which he put none on the floor, instead of putting the National Defense Authorization Act on the floor so that our servicemen and women can be the best trained, equipped, and ready across the planet, instead of putting the Farm Bill on the floor, which we do every 5 years, and our farmers are hurting. You can talk to any farmer in any corner of this country, and they say it is challenging to make ends meet, and we know food security is national security. Instead of putting any of those bills on the floor, Shannon, he chose to put an IVF bill on the floor for a show vote. That bill extended into human cloning. That bill did not protect religious freedom, something that we have agreed is a bipartisan issue, something we do consistently. This time they chose to rip that out. I have been there has been probably no more vocal supporter outside of President Trump than myself when it comes to making sure we have nationwide access to IVF. You have to get to 60 votes in the United States Senate. Not one member of the Democratic Party came over to try to garner enough votes for 60. It was simply a show vote. It was never intended to pass. He would not allow us to have time for amendments or anything else. So it's just it's Schumer's summer of scare tactics that he has moved into the fall of fear-mongering. I think it's despicable because he is stoking fear that should not exist and unfortunately playing politics, and the American people lose when Chuck Schumer's in charge.
Well, DNC Chair Jamie Harrison feels good about where they are. Obviously, the Senate is in play as well. Republicans are hoping to flip it. But he says he's feeling bullish on places like Montana, Ohio. He says even Florida and Texas and Missouri. Is it possible that Republicans are overconfident? Is this possibly another midterm 2022 when that red wave did not materialize the way that you all had hoped? Because Democrats say when it comes to this issue of abortion, which is on a lot of state ballots as well, they feel like it's going to put them over the top, and they're going to maintain control of the Senate.
Look, I was actually with Steve Daines last night, who is the chair of the NRSC, senator there from Montana. He is working diligently to ensure that we make sure that we take back the Senate. And of course, we hope to do that in a big fashion. But he is being diligent in every single sector. We're taking nothing for granted. Even in places where we're ahead, we are working like we are 5 points behind. Because, Shannon, we believe that the future of our country depends on it. When you see Chuck Schumer saying and Kamala Harris saying they will break the filibuster to do radical things, and whether it's take gas powered cars off of the road, whether it is banning fracking, when we know that we not only need to be energy independent, we need to return to the energy dominance of President Trump. Where we look at our border, we know what's at stake. Look, President Trump had the most secure border of all time, and now we look at what we have under Vice President Kamala Harris's borders are. We have over 425,000 convicted criminals on the non-detained docket for ICE. Look, I ran these numbers last year. They're up over 1.5 million from the numbers we had last year on the non-detained docket. Of that, we know, to your earlier point when you opened this show, 13,000 convicted murderers. Do you understand that? Convicted murderers roaming our streets. We have 16,000 convicted, people that are convicted of sexual assault. Our country is not stronger. It is not safer. We've heard already on the show, literally the world is on fire. Under President Trump, we actually got to see what peace through strength meant. Putin never invaded Ukraine under President Trump. We see the Middle East. President Trump was able to institute the Abraham Accords, moving the embassy to Jerusalem. There has been no more pro-Israel president than President Trump. The world was a more stable place. Our border was more secure. Our dollar went further. And ultimately, as women look at the next generation, and they want to leave this country better for their children. And when you watch this debate on Tuesday night and you see Tim Walz be asked the question, are we better off than we are 4 years ago? He, just like Kamala Harris, will not be able to answer that question because the answer to that is no.
Okay, let me just say a couple things. You heard your colleague, Senator Coons. He said of those numbers of the people who are free here in the country, he says many of them are incarcerated. We've asked DHS for clarification on those numbers as well. But I very quickly want to give you a chance to respond to what he said about Ukraine, that President Trump doesn't have the best interests of those folks at heart. I know there was a meeting this week with President Zelensky, but there are many who worry about the Trump position, the Vance position, that it will include ceding some territory to Putin as a way to end this, and that being something that the Ukrainian people do not want to accept. Quick comment from you on Ukraine.
Look, there is a reason that President Putin only invaded Ukraine under Obama, Biden, and then again under Biden-Harris. The world respects President Trump, and I believe that Vladimir Putin does as well. And so I know that President Trump met with Zelensky. He understands the importance of standing firmly with our allies. And you look at what Joe Biden has done and Kamala Harris, slow-walking resources to Ukraine, and their disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan, disastrous withdrawal, has created a ripple effect across this globe where people do not respect us. The moment that President Trump gets back in office, people will respect the United States and know we mean what we say and we say what we mean. He will protect and stand firmly with our servicemen and women, and he will back the blue. We will have law and order once again, safer streets, and we will have a more peaceful globe, guaranteed.
Right. Well, about 5 weeks to go. We'll see what the American people decide. Senator, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Shannon.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.